What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Can you believe it's already in June and we're just moving along? I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial weekend. Um, I did. It was busy. So, everybody, please be safe. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. We'll bring in our guests and, of course, Wendy, too. But, I know Al from on later on will be doing all the hype. But I just want to get one of the sponsors out the way, and then we're going to get right into our guests. If you're watching from YouTube, subscribe to it. If you're watching from Facebook, share it. I appreciate that. Al and I appreciate it. This is like Malika, about our second year or going on, something like that. And this is just one of the sponsors. We'll mention more later. This is the Deadly Arts magazine. Wesley Snipes is on the 6th edition. You can get it on Amazon. It's the #1 martial arts magazine in the world right now. With that being said, saying all of that, I am Bill Foster, and that is Assemblyman Al Taylor. Al, how are you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing better than most, thank God. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I am so blessed to be here, in spite of everything that's around us, man. Brother Bill, I am great. Good to see you. I saw you out and about somewhere Sunday. I was trying to get the shout in on wherever y'all was at live, and I was multitasking, and my wife was distracting me over there, and I was trying to be inquisitive as to what was going down. The music was popping, and I knew it was a celebration. It was a love thing. So good to see you. Listen, I'm glad to be here. Glad. And I just want to shout out real quickly and welcome our sister, Assembly member Chantel Jackson, hailing all the way from the Boogie Down. But don't get it twisted. She's originally a Harlemite, representing
Harlem Night. Throw it up for the Harlem.
Let the Bronx claim her because she's putting in work. But we already know y'all good stuff come out of Harlem, and then you just go to other places and trip it up. So Thank you for coming, and we're going to speak a little bit more and why it's so significant in you being here. I didn't give you any ground rules. I said, would you join me for a co-host with Real Talk? My good brother Bill Foster here. He's a wonderful dude. And we don't have scripts. We don't have questions. We just let it rip so you don't get to sanitize it. And whatever's there, it is what it is. But I am so proud of you. I am so proud of the fact that you do not move through the legislative halls without allowing people to know who you are. You are a mother first and foremost. TJ, who is just a little bit less than 2 years old, I think. And he's a dog. Man, it seems like TJ been around a long time. TJ is the chair of the baby caucus. So and TJ, he has approximately 149 legislative godfathers and godmothers. And forget about everybody else in there, but she had some significant legislation, and we're going to unpack that a little bit later on. So I'm running on and on. And Wendy Olivo, you all know as my chief of chief of staff, but now we switching because she's going to be spending the next 30 days on the grind as my field director, campaign manager, and screaming and telling me what to do, what not to do. It's almost like I'm going to the gym with Rocky and I got to work out, and I don't want to go. But that's the babbling Al Taylor right there. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm the co-host with Bill Foster, Real Talk Chronicles, Real Talk. Don't talk about it, be about it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And Malika in the back.
And Malika's in the back. Exactly.
Malika in the back holding it down.
So we all know crime is still all over the country, not just in New York. But of course, we care about New York right now because we are New Yorkers. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, gun violence is right now, I think, is paramount. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace to all the people that have been that have lost lives in these mass shootings recently. We still have a problem within our own communities, and I'm sure we can address that because everything might be culminated, but two different walks. So we have mass shootings, and now we just have crime against each other. With that being said, I'll hand it over to Al and let you and Ms. Jackson talk about what you two have been working on and what are y'all doing.
Wow. Let me just stop and say, oh boy, ain't did nothing but follow the parade. Right. Sister Chantel Jackson stood up on the floor, and I could not have been more proud of her than if she was my own child. And she battled for 5 hours in a debate on a piece of legislation that was paramount in the governor signed today. Not only did she sign that, but she signed 9 other pieces of legislation. Let me get out of the way and let her talk about the bill that she introduced, stood there and fought. When I say fought, everybody knows on a national level exactly the climate of America. whether it's in Buffalo, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in Connecticut, wherever it is. And we know about the daily shootings in our communities. And she weighs a conversation brilliantly. If she had been there 20 years, she could not have done it better. Chantel, talk to them. Tell us the bill, why you fought, why you introduced it, and let brother. So by the way, nobody knows about this. We don't have scripts, so he's hearing first time what you did and what the governor did today.
Yes,
perfect. Peace and blessings. It is a joy, of course, to be around some Black folk. In the month of June. Yes. It is. So I live in the Bronx, so you're gonna hear some noise in the background, just so y'all know. In the month of June, this is Gun Violence Awareness Month. I am the co-chair of the subcommittee in the caucus around gun violence awareness, and it was a absolute pleasure to be able to bring forth this bill. What the bill does is, first of all, we got to talk about the fact that you don't need a license to get a semi-automatic rifle right now.
Right.
And so what this bill does is it requires you to get a license to have a semi-automatic rifle, and you have to be at least 21 years old. And the reason why the 21 is important is because our brothers and sisters that we lost in Buffalo, that was an 18-year-old that was able to purchase a semi-automatic rifle. And the babies we lost in Texas, that was an 18-year-old that was able to purchase a semi-automatic rifle. And so what this bill does is just simply says, look, you want to own a semi-automatic rifle, you need to be licensed and you need to be at least 21 years old. And, Brother Al talks about the debate that happened. The Republicans was trying to throw everything at me. And what I did was stay on task and kept reiterating the fact that we are responding to the mass shootings that we've seen, and we are doing just simple legislation that just makes sense. There's no reason why you should need a semi-automatic rifle, for one, but two, if you're going to have one, you need to be licensed.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Me being former law enforcement, if you want to say I'm blessed to have a firearm. And I can carry it in 50 states to the HR 218. But with that being said, it still doesn't stop a young man. And like you said, 18 years old can go purchase a firearm, right? I got a little video. I don't have it to play it tonight. If I'd have known you were here, I would have probably segued it in. But a young man can go buy, he can't buy alcohol, he can't buy cigarettes, but he can go purchase a gun at 18 years old. It doesn't make any sense. And now, of course, I'm a gun owner, and I'm a person, and I would love for everybody to be able to have the right to bear arms, right? Because it's just what it is. If you can vote, you should be able to bear arms with legalities, of course. But it seems like people will say to say, I'll be fair and to say some people try to feel like it's an attack on the NRA, it's an attack on the Second Amendment. It's not about that. It's about just holding some people accountable and being able to trace the steps for those that do purchase these guns. There should be, I don't know if you and Al are setting up, because they're just the flags. When people see the red flags, it's just so funny. You hear the story when somebody says, oh, he's always been this way, but then he still is able to purchase a gun. Well, wait a minute. Why aren't there flags? Shoot, sometimes Facebook will flag me for something I did 2 years ago and said, like, oh, beat somebody's behind. And then next thing you know, they'll be like, yo, you went against community standards. So certain things can be flagged, or some of us are watched more than others. And when you speak the truth, and that's real talk. But this is a problem. So how are you? Well, you said you came across some resistance today. Talk about that for us, if you don't mind. And we have another person coming in too. Yes.
Of course. So the resistance. Hey, that's my senator, y'all.
Hello.
That's my
senator. Blessings.
Oh, listen. Go ahead, and then we'll introduce.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the resistance. So let me, before I talk about the resistance, I also want to add that the shooting that we saw in Tulsa the man was able to buy a semi-automatic rifle at 2 p.m. and started killing people at 4:52 p.m. So licensing has a place in this where we can do the background check, let there be time that lapse, because there is so much that could happen with those red flags that you're talking about. Maybe someone can see the disgruntled person, see the depression, see the schizophrenia, see all of those mental health issues, and be able to stop it. Now, the resistance that I saw when I was debating this bill was people saying that it changes how families will go out and hunt, how our Second Amendment is not being upheld. And the truth is, we are not coming for the Second Amendment. And when it was written, let me just say this: when it was written, there were no semi-automatic rifles. No one thought that was going to be a thing at that time. Okay, and the other part is that a number of my Republican colleagues were saying was that they were asking. Now, these are the same people that offered thoughts and prayers maybe 2 weeks ago and a few days ago. But they were saying that like everyone should go out and make their purchase now before this law is enacted, from the governor signing it and it in 90 days passing before it's in law. And so that kind of rhetoric is so problematic with our country. We have such an obsession with guns and not enough people who are talking about the mental health aspects of why people are using guns in a malicious way. I have no problem with people carrying and protecting their families and their home. And I think more Black people, more Latino people should be licensed gun owners, should be, because we are under attack. However, you need to go through the legal system and get it done. That's all we're asking.
Absolutely. Now we have a special guest coming in too. And Al, I'm going to let you do the honors. And it's everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Al, the next one is on you. This is Real Talk Chronicles, and I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. And we have a special guest. Go ahead, Al.
This is my dude, Senator Luis Sepulveda. Did I say it right, or did I butcher it?
You got it.
It's all right. Sepulveda.
but on the low, folks, y'all don't know these are my Bible study crew too, because we all in this pot together, so we understand. And what Steve Harvey say, God is not finished with us yet. Don't trip, because right. We're gonna get some grace up in here. Y'all keep acting stupid, not y'all, but people that you know what I'm saying. Senator, you represent the 32nd Senatorial District.
That's correct.
Okay, listen, thank you so much. And you and Chantel, Assemblymember Jackson, are invited here. And thank you for graciously saying yes when I shot the text. I just thought, because myself and Brother Bill Foster co-host Real Talk Chronicles, Real Talk, once I do the first Monday of every month, I thought it was so important that people get to hear your voice and understand what the governor did today in the Boogie Down and why it was important. And we're the only state in the nation that have taken such steps that brought the mayor from Buffalo and people from all parts of this state to the Boogie Down, because they always talk about New York being progressive, but money talks. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invite, especially with my sister Chantel, who we work every day hard for the parts of the district that we represent together. I can't think of a better partner in government than Chantel. And Al, thank you also. You're my brother in faith. You're my brother in dancing and other things.
Everybody knows Al likes to dance. Everybody knows that.
Right? He's a great dancer. He's the best dancer in the legislature. So, but I was hearing your discussion. It's important that here in the Bronx, we're doing what the rest of the nation should be doing. Here in New York State, we did what the rest of the nation should be doing. And, I heard Chantal talking about the Second Amendment and the militias and all that stuff. But let's be real here. We know why these groups now, they bathe themselves in the Second Amendment. But there's no denying what the history of the Second Amendment was. We know that the Second Amendment was the basis of it was white supremacy. They wanted to be able to have their guns to eliminate Native Americans and enslaved African Americans. Yes. That's the real history of the Second Amendment. This whole nonsense about a militia and being to protect your family is complete nonsense.
Right.
The FBI did some study. When we talked about this lack of a human being that runs the NRA. In 2012, when I believe it was Columbine, when some people were killed there, he said that the only way only a good person with a gun can stop a bad person with a gun. And that is complete nonsense. The FBI has statistics that demonstrated, in fact, that people that are unarmed have been more effective at stopping mass shooters than people with weapons. And, somebody had to remind them that for example, in Texas, you had about 30 people with guns there, and none of them did a single thing to stop the shooting that happened where the children were brutally murdered. So this whole narrative that they put out there is complete nonsense. I say you want to have gun control, effective gun control in this country, then make the majority of NR members Black and Latinos, and you will see how they'll change their position immediately. Remember in 1967 when the Black Panthers went to California when Reagan was governor, and they paraded these Capitol with weapons. It was legal, but yet a majority of them got arrested, and for no other reason that they were Black and brown people with guns. So that's the reality that we face in this country. When we were disputing our bills in the Senate, I mean, some of the nonsense that they were spewing about a door. I had a bill that is going to tackle the issue of ghost guns, which is a bigger problem in our communities than automatic weapons. And they want to talk to me about whether a potato gun can be considered a gun now, whether a flash gun can be considered a gun. I mean, the logic that they were trying to spew was just so nonsensical, so insulting to our communities that we have so much work ahead of us. But unless the Republicans get off their rear ends and see that a life of a child is worth much more than a rifle, than a gun, than an automatic weapon, we're going to be in this situation. We're going to see another mass killing. We've seen already a couple this weekend. So we really are fighting an uphill battle, because we can resolve all these problems in half an hour if the Republicans got the courage to do what's right, to look at these children that have been brutally murdered. In Texas, I asked Texas Senator Ted Cruz to take a look at the kids there. He was on to talk about automatic doors in the back locking, or having our children with bulletproof vests. I don't want a society like that. The leader today spoke about that. Yeah. We want our kids going with bulletproof vests through schools. That's not what I want for my children. And so unless, the blood of those children that were killed in Texas, and a lot of these people that have been killed in mass killings, the blood of those people are in the hands of the Republican Party, especially in Congress.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I want to ask you, and Chantel, let me ask you this question. What are you, if you can, tell us some of the idiotic stuff that you're hearing during this, when you were presenting this bill? Because the thing is, the hypocrisy that comes from one side to the other is crazy. It really is. So I've heard people say, oh, people are just being mad just because they're mad. They're not worrying about Black on Black or Latino crime. That's nonsense. We have people out here, our youth, doing nonsense because they think they're fighting for turf or disrespect and stuff like that. But we're talking about now, and I'm not justifying people killing people, of course. I'm going to make sure that's abundantly clear. But what we're talking about is innocent people shopping, elderly people, our parents, our grandparents. We're talking about kids, our children, going to school thinking they're safe, people going to concerts or parties or church or places of worship and getting killed just because somebody doesn't like our skin color and they can just purchase a firearm. So please enlighten us on what are the idiotic things that you're hearing for them not to change. Ms. Jackson, you can go first, please.
Well, you kind of led to it. I had a conversation with one of the Republican legislatures, a Jewish brother, and he said to me, he's like, come on, these bills are not going to do anything. The real problem is Blacks are killing Blacks. That's what he said to me as a Black woman with my Black son in my hand. And he felt comfortable telling me that this is the case. Now, are Black men dying at the hands of Black men? Yes.
Absolutely.
Are Black people dying at the hands of white men? Yes. Yeah. Okay. And when we are having a breast cancer walk, we don't go in there and say, well, what about lung cancer? That's not what we're here for.
Right.
We are here to talk about this issue. And on this issue, that's my main thing was bringing them back to this issue. We're seeing mass shootings and we're responding to that. Now, I'm a licensed social worker, so you can't tell me what we need in these streets more than I know what we need in these streets. So the young men that are dying here in my hood, I'm making sure that we provide resources every chance that I get. That's my job.
Right.
I don't need anybody on Long Island and upstate telling me what's happening in my hood because I live here.
Absolutely.
And the whole thing about people of color killing each other, because it's not just the Black community, it's in the Latino community as well. You know, my response to them was, well, last I checked, I think 90% of the mass shootings were young white men, ages 18 to 21. So your theory is a little off. Your statistics don't bear you out. But of course, this is what they're going to say. You know, they want to blame the Black and brown communities for the problems that we have.
Yes.
When the reality is that the problem here at this level started when President Obama became president, where all these white NRA members thought that President Obama and Congress was going to take their guns away. So sales of guns went up 200% during his presidency.
Yeah.
And then with the pandemic, it went up another 200%. So the amount of weapons that are out there is the problem. No matter what excuses they wanted to bring, therein lies the problem. But they don't want to limit that flow because they're in the hands of the NRA. But, you know, you had all kinds of nonsensical arguments. You know, we need more than a whole program today to talk about how many stupid things they said to essentially be evasive of what the main issue here. And the issue is the amount of guns that are in circulation. And you know what? I'm really concerned about a Supreme Court decision that's coming down soon. That the Rifle Association here brought challenging the restrictions that we have to get a concealed weapon license here in New York. If the case goes where I think the decisions are already written, they're going to relax the restrictions to get a concealed license here in New York, and you're going to see even more guns in our streets, more guns in our communities. And so I'm really concerned about that. You have a conservative court right now that I think they go to sleep with their rifles and their guns in their pillows. And I'm not very hopeful that with the current composition of the court that we're going to get any assistance with that. In fact, I think they're going to continue to chip away at these rules so that we can resemble more what the laws in places like Texas. And by the way, this whole discussion about only good people with guns can stop bad people with guns, the highest murder rate in the states of this country are all in states that don't have gun restrictions, states that have the most permissible way of obtaining firearms. These are the states that have the highest murder rate. It's not New York. New York has one of the most restrictive rules in terms of guns.
That's true.
I guess that doesn't satisfy the Republicans, so they want to make it easier for our people to kill each other. And of course, I don't justify black on black, Latino on Latino, Latino on black, whatever crimes that are happening. But as my sister Chantel said, we're not going to be able to police our way out of this. It's not going to happen. Yeah. You know, we got to focus more on the resources that we have. And people say, oh, you progressive, you liberals are always talking about this stuff. But the proof is in the pudding. When you have these kinds of resources, when you make an impact at a young age, when our kids can go to bed fully fed, when our kids don't have to worry about their next meal or where they're living, and our kids are not getting the kind of quality education the kids in the Upper West Side get, when we can cure these problems, then you'll see a drastic change in what we're going through right now.
And Senator, that's an excellent point. When we cure those problems, because let's just look at it for what it is. If we can level the playing field, so we're getting educated, we're getting opportunities, right? And they're not giving us truckloads of guns and making it accessible for us to buy. The NRA is working against us on two fronts. One, they're going to lie all day long, and then they're going to give away guns in our bordering states so that we can get them in here. And as long as we killing each other, if nobody else listens to anything else we say, stop killing each other, because that's what they want. And at the end of the day, when you talk, thank you, you reference the idiot in Washington that said, you know, we can stop these shooters with arming people right there. Every other shooting, if not every shooting, you see cowardice acts where the people that had the guns that were supposed to step in and do something ran the other way. People said, I'm not going in there. And while these people were mulling around and keeping the parents away, kids were having their heads blown off in real time, and they were right there. That's why we have this legislation. That's why we're so pissed. And yeah, now I'm going to blow up somebody. When we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, where the hell are you in our community standing up and saying, I need you on every corner where there's a problem? You don't have to do anything but be a present. When we have presence, it's over. We don't want your money. We don't want your conversation. We want to hold everybody accountable. I want the cops to be held accountable. I want the legislator to be held accountable. I want Woody Nuck that's acting stupid in the street to be held accountable so those babies can go home safe. Black Lives Matter movement. Come on, help us do this thing because our kids are dying. We don't need you in Beverly Hills in these big old ass houses. We need you in the hood doing good.
Yes.
Okay, Rev Al.
That's real talk. I listen. Everybody, this
preach, brother, preach.
They want to come at us and say, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, and they ain't doing diddly but pointing fingers and ain't doing nothing but saying, let's get that cop. What about the people that are out there damn mind killing people and you don't do nothing? You ain't running with a busload and say, well, you know what? We got to own this corner. One of the things that the nation did, they owned the corners in the 70s. The steak and takes that were going on, you didn't come in there high. I'm telling you, they throw you out. I'm telling you. And you started to correct yourself. If you didn't know how to get corrected, they would help you. And I'm not saying we need that, but we need to own our community. We can't legislate our way out. We can't police our way out. And we damn sure can't talk our way out of it. We need real-time action. I'm just saying, BLM, if you're down, come on, help us.
Yeah, I've been saying that we need community stewardship and community patrolling. We need our young folks to be employed to just take care of our community, to be out here cleaning up our community, like literally getting a broom and cleaning up, but also making sure that our sisters have someone to walk them to and from the train station, to make sure we have our elderly being escorted to get their medication into the supermarket. Like, let's employ people to take care of community. So we don't need the outside sources. That's all I'm asking.
Let's talk, because 14 years ago, I wrote this thing. And I was like, what would it look like? We did Brother Bill, we do the man of prayer walks every Thursday. Absolutely. And we've been doing it since 2008. The crime dropped. But it said, now what would it look like if a senior could call over to this place and somebody goes to the supermarket with them? Or someone's coming home late and they want someone to meet them at a train station. And we wouldn't put money in their place, in their pockets, just move them. They can't pick up money, but walk there. I call escort. I got like 5 of these things, and we got great mind. The time has arrived. Thank you. We're gonna build on that one. Yo, folks, you listen to Bill Foster and Brother Al Taylor on Chronicles Real Talk. Y'all know what time it is. Come on, hit us up. We see your questions. If you don't know about this, then you need to tell somebody. It's going down. And check out our YouTube, our Facebook, and everything else in between. Let me get out of the way and let my main man do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And one of the other sponsors is Melville Wilson's restaurant in Harlem on 114th Street and 8th Avenue, and Leon Ellis on 119th Street. Those are sponsors of Real Talk Chronicles. Thank you. Thank you. So I guess we appreciate you, Senator and Assemblyman woman. Let me ask you this question. Well, first, let me read a comment from Lynette. She said, Bill, unfortunately, nothing is going to happen until we take a hard look at campaign finance reform. The gun problem will not be solved if the representatives we send to Washington are being brought off by companies that financially benefit from these problems. Anyone want to comment or respond to that?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I don't think it's us. I don't think campaign finance, and it's not because I'm in it that I'm saying it. I'm saying that, like, we're talking people that are being bought off when it comes to guns. That's more of a federal thing than it is a state thing. As you can see, we're willing to legislate through this. Our federal colleagues have not taken a stance on it. We're asking them to look at the assault look at the ban on assault rifles, like make some real moves on that. Because the NRA has their hands in their pockets, then that's why people are not moving. Now on this side, the Democrats, we out here legislating with our people in mind. So I'm just speaking to the gun part. Now, y'all, if y'all getting checks, y'all better send one to your sister here.
No question. And the real deal is, Bill, I thank that person for the question, but let's go a little bit deeper than that. The pharmaceutical companies do that. And what you have people doing is leaving the federal legislative body and becoming lobbyists, and they're doing and writing the legislation that they've been paid to do. I come in making $200,000. You like what I do? You're gonna give me $500,000? I'm out of here, son. I'm working for them. No, I'm not. I'm showing you what is happening. And when they start talking about campaign finance, you know what they're looking at first? They're looking at us. It's going to impact us. So what happens is I can't raise money. I need $200,000 to win my election. Do you hear what I'm saying? if people think I'm worth something, or there's just, you need $200,000 between your printing for unions, this, and your mailings. It's not cheap. You don't get any money here. I may have made $75,000. I'm being 100 right now. But at the end of the day, when you start talking about campaign finance, then you're gonna look over at the assembly and the Senate. So, well, y'all can't have that. And I hear you. But the people that are getting a crap load of money are not being impacted by this, and the game does not change. Wake up, people. And they use us, and say, well, y'all need to get rid of that. We execute each other. And I'm gonna let them white folks making money up on the hill ain't losing one damn dollar in one night of sleep over what we talking about right now. Until we hit them where it counts, it does not matter. Campaign finance is good, but you got to stop choking the people that are trying to make you get up out of here. It's us. There are people that clearly want what they want. I'm pissed a little bit right now.
I can feel you.
Real talk, baby. Real talk. It is what it is. Everybody, listen. I think, and Lewis, I'm gonna bring you in. I think we all we all have feelings and emotions with this. You know, exactly. I think, like you said, you talked about first. Chantel, just like the next time you go up there and they say something and they start to deviate, tell them, say, Bill Foster say, stay focused on what the task at hand. How about that? And then they can pop something and see you guy. You know what I'm saying? And Lewis, I got your back too. But with this, I'm saying a lot of people are getting mad at Black Lives Matter, and they're saying that they're not speaking out. Just like Lynette had said right here. She said, yes, where are the Black lives when we have black on black crime? I get that. I'm not defending Black Lives Matter. Trust me, I want everybody to speak up. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I do know that when Black Lives Matter started, their onus was on police brutality. I'm not saying it's right. Trust me, I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't speak up. But and this is why I'm segueing into what I'm saying right now. We want, Al, you and I'm sure Lewis and Chantel, we all were brought up in a village. To be who we are today, there was a village-esque about our upbringing. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, that's gone. So do we want to get out there on the corners? Yes, we do. But the five of us or the four of us get on the corner by ourselves is looking crazy, because now people are going to be looking at us like you said, Al, you're right. We do need our Muslim community back. We need our Latin community back. We need our African-American community back, because to me, Latins and Africans-Americans are the same. So I don't even like even differentiating like that, because together we'll be unstoppable if we stay together. But half of us thinking someplace else, because they're a little lighter, they think they whiter. Some of them don't even know they dark. You understand? So that's the historical aspect of people of culture, that we don't even know our history of who we are. You know what I'm saying, Luz? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's just like Puerto Rico, Africa, Haiti, Dominican Republic. It's just a stop, 137th Street, 145th, Fordham, Dykeman, whatever it is. So I think, and if anything I can do to help, I always extend that olive branch. And you two are always welcome back. Al will tell you, you two are, once you come to Real Talk Chronicles, you always could come back when you want to. You know what I'm saying? Because you might have some information that you need to enlighten us, and Al will tell you, always come back on Al time, whatever, or any other time. But what we need to do, it starts with the community. We need to get back to that. I've always said, I said it jokingly, but I'm kind of serious about it now. We start finding out these kids in a city, or even parents that buy these assault rifles. If your child commits a crime, maybe you should get charged with that crime too. I bet you people start going under them beds and finding out what's in them closets. Because, speaking of people of color, there's no one here could bring something in the house that mommy and daddy didn't know about it. We go in it and they start questioning you and asking you. I think a lot of that is gone, and we need to get that back. Al, Real Talk. It's Assemblyman Al Taylor. This is Bill Foster. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to it. If you're watching it on Facebook, share it. This is Real Talk. Thank you, everybody that's chiming in. We appreciate you. Where do we go? Another thing, and I'll bring you in, Lewis. I'm so tired of hearing people not wanting to talk about mental illness. And Chantal, this is something that you said about it. Now, I know not every crime is mentally ill. It goes under that. But there are people of color that are suffering with mental illness, and they're getting into these guns. There was just a guy in Harlem in a 3-2 jumping on cars yesterday or acting up. And I think then he gets caught, and then he goes into a seizure. There's 3 shootings in the 3-2. In my precinct, the 3L, 145th and Broadway, person gets shot. Like, we get it. Now, I don't know what does contribute to mental illness, but then people don't want to give us that. They just want to say it's black on black or Latin on black, Latin crime. But when their child does it, oh, he has problems. Now mental illness can come in. Lewis, what do you say about that?
You know, the premise, this country was built on a racist premise. And anybody who denies that is sticking their head in the sand. If you look at economic policies for the last 246 years, our people were treated differently. You can't resolve an issue that started 200 years ago overnight. When you talk about these issues, it's lack of funding for our schools, lack of health care, lack of economic development in our neighborhoods. And what you're seeing in history is a byproduct of a system that was inherently racist. Economic policies, even in New York, was supposed to be such a progressive liberal town. Until people like myself, Chantel, Al, until we were elected and we looked like the community that we represented, not much was happening here. Remember the Bronx burning in the 60s and 70s and early 80s, right? All that happened because it was Latinos and African Americans that inhabited the county. This stuff wouldn't have happened in white neighborhoods. And so in order for us to get to the place where we need to get, we need to spend a lot of money, primarily on economic development, housing, and education.
Yes.
Best social service program is a job. Best social service program is a higher education.
Yes.
We have to push together. We have to all come together as people of color and fight for what we should be receiving that we were denied. And what you see sometimes is a split in our opinions and what we're trying to do that it weakens our ability to get done. One of the biggest caucus in the United States, it's the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Asian caucus. The amount of power that we yield is incredible. But for some reason, we have not used it to the best of our ability. We can shut down state government if we all came together and said, no. Governor Hochul, I love you, but you're not going to be giving $5 billion for a Buffalo Bills stadium and not give money to our people who need it for housing vouchers, right? We didn't stop that. And it's unfortunate that we do that. When you look at the crisis now, if these were white kids that were getting killed, you would have had $30 billion invested in education, in health, and affordable health care. Look what happened with the opioid crisis. When it was our people that were going to jail, we were using, let's lock them up, throw away the key. As soon as white America was hit with the opioid problem, oh, well, we need compassion now, right? They didn't care about compassion when it was our people that were impacted. Same thing happens now. We have to, as a group, as an elected body, Black, Latinos, Asians, we have to really use the power that we have. And we haven't done so.
Lewis,
I've been a legislator now for almost 12 years.
Okay.
And year after year, I was disappointed on some of the things that we did as a caucus. Charles Barron would yell at us about it. I love Charles. But he would say, hey, why are we doing this? We have a great leader in Andrea Stewart Cousin, an African-American woman. We have a great leader in Speaker Hasty. So we have the foundation there. But if we can use our caucus and come together as a group, none of this nonsense with Latinos over there, Blacks over here, Dominicans over here, Puerto Ricans over there.
Right.
It just weakens our ability to force policy, budgets, and legislation in this state. We can shut this down.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I felt it in you. I felt it. I know it was coming out, but I know you didn't want to say it. I know.
But we haven't done it.
Let me just say this. I totally agree with what you're saying. And this is in lies the problem. This is the elephant in the room. And then I want to bring Chantel in. But how do we galvanize people and stay focused on one topic and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? And I'll let you say that. And then Chantel, you come in and Al, of course, anytime you want. Go ahead, Lewis.
Well, one of the things that we did at the beginning of session, there were some proposals that were put to essentially watered down bail reform because they blame bail reform for everything, even though bail reform has been very successful. Despite what you hear, you don't hear about the success stories. You don't hear about the fact that bail reform has saved the state over $600 million. You don't hear about the people who are able to keep their jobs and stay with their families. The Republicans use it, the fear-mongering. They're very effective at fear-mongering. They're not very good at legislating, but they're extremely effective at fear-mongering. We have not been able to match them because they began the narrative, and now everything is bail reform and criminal justice reform. But the reality is that's been successful. We come together because at the beginning of session, they wanted to water down bail reform. And even though there was a little change, not much, a couple of other crimes that fell within bailable offenses, but we stuck together at that table as a caucus and said, no, this is not happening. I remember when we first discussed Andrea Stewart Cousins, our leader in the Senate, when we were doing criminal justice reform, she put about 8 of us together, 8 of us that are lawyers together in the room and said, you guys hash this out. You had some Democrats that are more conservative. You had some members that were much more to the center right than I was. You had Jamal Bailey. You had Brian Benjamin. That's right. Zelno Myrie and myself, when they were trying to bring the needle too far to the right, we're like, no. We all came together as a group, as people of color, and said, you in Long Island, you don't have the problems that we have in our community. All right. You don't have the problem with our kids not getting the kind of benefits that your community gets. So don't try that shit. Sorry. Don't try that. The reality is that you've had moments where we have come together. What we need are more moments like that. And I hope that we can do that in the future, because there is no reason why Black and brown people should not be controlling the legislative agenda, the budget in this state.
All right. Chantel?
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is we in the city, most of us are Black and brown. We in the city have a different lens than the Democrats that live on Long Island and upstate. And what our leadership has the task of doing is making sure that we stay the majority and the supermajority. So my job is to come in here and fight hard for my community. 57% Latino, the rest being Black, right? I come in, I'm saying I want everything for my people. So the speaker's job is to balance it all with the upstate people and the Long Island people, because they're different from us. I don't have his job. So I'm coming and fighting for my people, and he has a job to balance it out. I would never want that man's job. I thank him for what he's done and our majority leader. But the truth is that we have to hold the line. We as legislators have to stick together. And Luis brought it up. We have a caucus, and strong people listen to that caucus. If we decide as a body we are not voting for this and we are pushing this, it'll happen. And that's all that it takes. Just hold the line.
We have a lot of power.
Thank you. Real talk. That's Real Talk. That's Luis Sepulveda and Chantel Jackson. I got it right, baby. Exactly. Al, do you want to chime in on something before I read some of the comments? Because listen, everybody, we appreciate you. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. One of the other sponsors is Reggie Wells, Quality Speakers. You can pick them up anytime. By
the way, I just want to say one thing with respect to our leaders, Andrea and Carl. I mean, they weren't having this nonsense about watering down criminal justice reform either. So, the fact that you have people of color in these positions of power were able to save the day to some extent. And that's what we need, the state to represent and look like the people that are living in it.
Yes.
Wow. Al, you want to say anything before I read some comments?
I would just say this. The folks that are listening in your audience and those that will watch this tape later, those are the game changers. The more they hear and listen to what we're articulating and what you're bringing before them in forums like this, that's the real deal. It breaks the myths of what people think they heard or rumors. We're having real talk, no pun intended, but people need to understand what are our roles, what are our responsibilities, how they can come.
You froze up on us? Did we get him? Is he frozen?
Yeah, we lost him for a bit.
Okay, so I'm just going to read some comments. Shout out to Robert. Happy birthday, my brother. Appreciate you on your birthday, rocking with Real Talk Chronicles. I see Pastor Kevin Graves. He's with us. He's He has the fourth Monday of every month. I apologize for that. So let me just read some comments. People have some statements and things of that magnitude. We have our special guest today, Ms. Chantel Jackson and Luis Sepulveda, right?
You got it.
Got it.
I just want to make sure I'm right, you know.
Just call me what Chantel calls me, Louis.
Okay, Lou, I said.
Louis.
My man AJ, Agent Johnson, used to work with me. And for those you and Chantel may not know, I'm for law enforcement. But the bottom line is, I've always had to tell my co-workers that I'm black first before I was blue. So a lot of times they misconstrue that when I speak up, they think I'm speaking up just for blue. No, I'm not speaking up for a fraternity. I'll speak up for a fraternity when it's time to rah-rah for a fraternity. But my skin color, my people, we never going to change. It's with me from day one to the day I leave. And that's it. And a lot of times they don't understand that, because I see the things that they spew in these other police groups, and it's so insulting. And then I understand why we have problems within law enforcement and people of color. You understand? Because people of color, law enforcement don't have these same problems with their own skin tone. And with that being said, people have to understand that this show is just real talk. We say what we say what we feel. As long as you can say it and articulate it, then you can say this on this show. And that's the most important thing. Adrian says many other ethnic groups don't emphasize with the foundational Black American situation and capitalize on the movement. Vera said the root of all this is going on is money. How can money be made and the problem be dealt with, or give the appearance of being dealt with? There are enough guns in this circulation now, but the manufacturer has to continue to make money. Guns are not like shoes. They don't wear out and need to be replaced. Mental health is not making money all around. Hospitals don't make money, only the drug manufacturers. I'll come back to that if y'all want to comment on that. Also, Colin said, I want to read what Colin Clark said. He said, we need our elected politicians out there to do what we elected them to do. I didn't elect Black Lives Matter. Lynette said, I agree, we need to get our communities back, but it's challenging. She also said, unfortunately, you got a lot of adults that are scared of their children. I agree, it takes a village to raise a child and incite change, but unfortunately, many people don't even want to be bothered. If there's anything that you want me to reread, Vera with the wonderful last name Foster. We're not related, but I love this last name. She said the root of, I did read that. I'm sorry. Trust me. So if there's anything that you want to comment or go back on, I'll read it again. Maybe if it's a point where Vera said, with Colin said, with Adrian said, it's a lot. There's so many people where I think we're all torn with so many different places. I think some people are just disgusted with gun violence because they don't show white on white crime on the news. That's a whole nother journalistic aspect that they don't show that, but they're going to show us. And we have to take ownership of that. But guns are not built in our communities. So how do they get in there? You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. Exactly. That was the problem when I was law enforcement. Oh, we got to get the guns out the community. We got to make arrests. But arrests, okay, we clean up the streets. So now a lot of people have a big issue with the bail reform. Like you said, Luis, it's that some people, now Al and I, we had a big talk about this one time on the show, and some people just feel like bail reform is problematic.
I bet you those people don't know what bail reform is.
They have no clue. They don't understand it. They're listening to the precinct commanders. They're looking to the white press, because if you look at the studies of the FBI and the NYPD numbers, not even the commissioner, the former commissioner, could make that connection. There was a hearing that the assembly held, and he had to eat crow, because when they asked him point blank, is there a connection? He said no, he couldn't make that connection. But of course, the Republicans jump on that, and the fear, as I said, they're really good at fear mongering and messaging. For some reason, we as Democrats, we're just not as good as they are with that concept.
And that's why you got Real Talk Chronicles, because you can come over here and set the record straight, right?
Yes,
this is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. That's my host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. We got Wendy over there. We have Chantel Jackson and Luis Sepulveda. And listen, we're talking about crime. We're talking about guns. Chantel had just explained for the people that just come in. Please give us a recap of what you did. Was it today or was it yesterday?
Yeah. Well, the governor signed today a package of gun bills, and one of the bills that I was the sponsor of on the assembly side requires you to have a license and be 21 years old to purchase or take possession of a semi-automatic rifle. As of right now, you don't need a license or to be 21. You can be 18 years old to go and get a semi-automatic rifle. Sounds crazy. And let me just always say that I believe in the Second Amendment. I do believe that people should be able to bear arms and keep their families safe and their business safe. However, we need to make sure that we are doing it legally and making sure that we're being responsible. Responsible is so important.
And that's a great thing. And Luis, you said something too, that you said they were thinking about trying to make the gun laws in New York a little lenient. Is that something that you would mention?
No, well, first of all, on what happened this morning, because we were there, Chantel and I were there, and Al, we were there today, about the package of reforms on gun violence and gun control in the state. There were several packages, things like not being able to purchase a bulletproof vest, funding for some of our programs. There were 10 bills. One of them was mine, and my bill dealt with, I think, one of the biggest problems that we've had in our community. That's the issue of ghost guns.
Yes.
A lot of these crimes that are committed by these young people against other young people, they're going on the internet. They're getting the schematic to produce a ghost gun, and they're buying the plastic parts, gunpowder, and voila, you have a gun. Problem was that if you committed a violent offense using a ghost gun, you were only charged for the violent offense. You weren't charged with the using of a gun during a violent offense. So what we've done is we've expanded the definition of a gun to include a firearm, to include any object that you produce that can release a projectile using gunpowder or any other explosive will now be included under the definition of firearm. So that I believe will have some sort of deterrent effect on some of the people that think that they can get away with an elevated offense by not using your traditional guns, by using a ghost gun. That was the automatic weapons are a problem in this country, but they're not a big problem here in the Bronx. The biggest problem is ghost guns and traditional guns. And so that's why we push on my behalf. That was the legislation that I was pushing the last 2 weeks when we had our gun package. But the governor, our leadership, we got together in record time and did what the rest of the nation has done. We set an example for the rest of the nation. And we have to continue that, because that's the only way we're going to stop this craziness with gun violence and so forth.
Go ahead, Al, please.
Hey, Bill, for the audience that's listening, what the senator just said and what Assemblywoman Chantel has said in their legislation, if you pause and put that next to the idea that we were slackers and didn't care about crime in our communities, and bail reform was just a trick on our parts, nowhere in this nation is there a more progressive stance on violence that anybody that has these type of weapons, anybody that dreams of getting these type of weapons or the best, will be held to the highest part of the law. And these are from your progressives. That's one of the most conservative moves you ever want to have. But it's in response to the hideous crimes that are happening across our nation. And we got bigger, better, more informed legislators on a federal level that will not even look at this. If people want to do something, one, check your email, Bill. I think Wendy may have sent you the bills, all 10 of them. But if more important, then have your, you know what? Hey, I'm calling because I saw this on Chronicles Real Talk. Why aren't you having a discussion? Let's blow up everybody over there and just push that out everywhere. You know what they do to us? They bring, I'm not racist, but they bring white folk to my district and they try to protest this.
Wendy, what he trying to tell us, Wendy?
Yeah. Wendy, unmute yourself.
Let me tell you what happened, right? So some people decided they were going to protest in front of the office. However, they didn't do research or homework and showed up on a day that we were closed. There were about 6, 7 people there.
4 white folks.
I think only one of them was not white. And so they're standing there, not from the district, not knowing our community, and not knowing or even trying to understand why Al took the stance that he did, which is listening to the community. So, we had these people in front of our office who were not from here, who didn't look like us, talking about my boss not representing the community. Now, you want to see me pissed off? That's the
icebreaker. That's it right there, right? You know what's so funny? I'll read this statement from Collins, and Colin is definitely an active person in his community, and I'm sure most of the people are. And I appreciate everybody that supports Real Talk Chronicles, and definitely Chantel and Luis. This is on YouTube, so after the show, you can definitely go back and look at it and share it to anybody that wants to hear your stance and let them know that how you feel, because I'm sure there are some people that don't feel you feel this way, or they may not know you, or because there's always the naysayers and this and that. But Colin said maybe we need to go after the bullet, and I think you referenced this, Luis. He said maybe we need to go after the bullet manufacturers, because without the bullets, you can't kill anyone with just the gun. It's a sad thing when I have to go through so many steps to purchase another gun, and I'm legal, when if I really want to hit that street within a day, I can get a firearm. That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? We have, and I applaud you, both of you, for trying, and of course, Al, for trying your hardest to do this. We need to change this thing around. I know the mayor's trying what he's trying to do. Eric has been on the show before when he was running. He hasn't been back. I really haven't bothered him, because I just feel he has his hands tied with so much. Now, I don't know how comfortable you are about answering this question. He just appointed somebody, I forgot the gentleman's name, a gun czar. I don't know anything about this gentleman. What's your take on that? I mean, I'm sure we all know that he's trying, but what's your take on that? Because I've spoken to other law enforcement, and they're like, "Oh, does he have DEA, Joint Terrorist Task Force experience and stuff like that?" And I was like, I didn't know anything about this man. I haven't read up on him. Chantel, I'll go with you, and then I'll come to you, Luis.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the gun czar, but one aspect that I'm going to take that some people are scared of is that we need to be teaching people how to properly handle guns and get people licensed. I think once you understand how to use it and what it's used for, the safety and all those things, it changes the need for it. It changes the obsession for it. I know that like when I was growing up, my mom didn't let us play with toy guns. There was no water guns, none of that, because she was feared for our life. And the thing is that now I wanted it so much more to do it behind her back than had she just showed me like or explained to me what her reasoning was. And so for me, I'm in a different space. I really do think that our young people should be learning how to handle guns safely. We should be learning how to understand like the dangers of it when not put away properly, things like that. It's a very different take than what everyone else is thinking. But also us Black Americans, we need to start being real about what's happening to us and stop just sitting here like these people are not coming for us. We need to be just as prepared as everyone else. And I'll leave it at that. Absolutely.
Appreciate it. That's real talk. Luis?
I think I have a more radical view of the Second Amendment than Chantel does. I think we should get rid of all guns in this country. I don't think we should be teaching.
But the federal government will have it, and I don't ever think that
if we can get movement from the federal government, obviously it's not going to happen anytime soon. Because when you go to Europe, I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to other European countries. No, not even police officers that carry guns. There's no proliferation of gun sales or manufacturing of guns in Europe. They don't have that. Unfortunately, we have such a violent society. But to me, the ultimate goal is only law enforcement, military, and certain other professions should have access to guns. So
but
if it were
Louis,
up to
we're
me,
not safe with those people having guns. We as a people are not safe with those people having guns because we've watched the George Floyds of the world. We've watched the Mike Browns of the world, the Philando Castile. We watched so many of them. We are not safe with just those people having guns. So that's why I'm like, I'm never going to be in a space where guns should be taken away and the government should be allowed to have guns and law enforcement, because they do not protect Black and brown people, especially not the same way they protect white people.
We don't have an argument about that, which is why I said from the beginning that the Second Amendment was rooted in pure, unadulterated racism. That's just the way it was created. It had nothing to do with King George hasn't been around in 246 years. So, and when I see the models of European countries and other nations that don't have guns, not even the police officers have guns, and yet you don't have the issues that we have with gun violence in those countries. So, if we can get the Republicans to act like grown-ups and worry about the lives of children, and we can pass strict gun regulations nationwide, then we won't need as many guns in this country. And that's what my ultimate desire would be.
Let me just read a comment. Lynette said, I wish we could have the same gun laws like they have in Japan. Wow, I don't know. Listen, there'd be some problems. Listen, and I want to ask you this question. Of course, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That is Assemblyman Al Taylor, my co-host, and I am Bill Forster. We have Senator Louis Sepulveda, and Assembly Lady. I'm gonna say that. Should I say that? Lady,
member, woman,
whatever. Well,
mama, Assembly Mama,
exactly. Chantel Jackson, and of course we got Wendy in the building. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Share it, subscribe to it. It's the only place you're gonna get it this real and with these kind of guests. We appreciate all that. With that being said, Adrian said we will be the only ones giving up our guns. Exactly. Colin said, he said, I think I read that, Colin. He said, maybe we need to go after the bullet method. I did read it. Hey, Jenny Herbert, Rochelle, it's good to see you. They're giving a lot of dap for you, Chantel. So that's what's up. They feeling you. I of course, my take on it, I definitely don't want to see this country gunless. I think we've been brought up on cowboys and Indians. I mean, Louis, it goes back to what you were saying, Louise, what you were going back to say earlier. I mean, violence has always been, listen, it's always the good guy beats up the bad guy or shoots. You know what I'm saying? From black exploitation movies to whomever, cops and robbers, Clint Eastwood, everything has been the gun, the infatuation with guns. Now, these assault rifles have been, I don't even understand, but they claim it's for shooting. I mean, for hunting, right?
Yeah, they said it's for hunting, but it tears up your game. So I don't really understand how they justify utilizing it for hunting. But you know what? I'm actually going to go with my colleagues who live upstate, go hunting. I don't eat meat, but I want to experience life how they do, because I don't want to be judging from a place of not having lived that life. When I'm out in Virginia, everyone has a gun. They leave the gun on the table. They leave the gun in the car. Like, everyone has a gun. And I haven't, being a New Yorker in the city, we don't operate like that. Having a gun, you have to hide that here.
Now that goes back to the laws, and I don't know how long I have you two. So, just give me your idea. How much longer do I have you two? Maybe
I have to sign off in a couple minutes for another Zoom.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you go first with this question, and Chantel, I hope you can hang out for a few more minutes. So the bottom line is, what about stricter just stricter laws? Because I think now we have kind of lessened the laws. We're not even talking about stop, question, and frisk. That's a whole other topic. But we're talking about laws, because Chantel, you said something about Virginia. The farther south you go, guns, people can walk around with guns. But now that's a kind of like, wait a minute now. If I know you have a gun, or Wendy has a gun, or Al has a gun, or Luis has a gun, I may get that's an automatic thinking. I act right. You know what I'm saying? Instead of wolfing, just wolfing to be wolfing. Now, I'm not saying that's New York. New York, everybody got a gun now, and they illegal. So, Luis, before you get out of here, please, what's your thoughts on that?
You were breaking up a little bit, so I didn't hear the last part.
Well, I was just saying that everybody has a gun. Either we can go back to stricter laws, crimes, because right now it seems like I said, people feel, and which it is, New York is a real soft state right now. We know that. I mean, people feel like people are getting arrested, some, and it seems like they're right back out. That's what the media is presenting. I don't know if it's true. I've been told different. Al has told me it's different than that. and we told that the judicial system has the right to hold arms. We've also been told too we've had some guests here that the special prosecutor, she said the narcotics, she said there's certain people that because of bail reform they weren't able to keep them in. So I'm not here to go back and forth with that. I just want your thought process on what do you think about either crimes before you get out of here. What's your solution before you go? And then we'll have Chantel for a few more minutes. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, look, anybody who talks about these people that are released on bail reform, only about 2 to 3% of those that have committed violent crimes that were released on bail reform went on to commit more violent crimes. So that just the numbers just don't bear them out. I'm one of those that believes that guns have no place in our society. I don't, if you look at these states where you're talking about places where people have guns on their kitchen table when they're walking around, these are the states that have the highest murder rates in the country. There's a direct correlation. You can't deny that. If you don't have a gun, you can't kill somebody. You can't injure someone. So to me, the ultimate fastest solution will be the federal government decides to be mature and stop being in the pockets of the NRA and pass sensible gun legislation. They can do that in half an hour and resolve decades of issues of gun violence in this country in half an hour. Right. So that's where I'm hoping that the federal government finally does something. But in the interim, we're in New York. We're doing the best that we can under the circumstances, under our limitations. We can pass these bans, these laws. Somebody can go to Pennsylvania at 18 years old and get an assault rifle. Somebody can go to Texas and bring it up here. Yeah. So, yes. We need to be 100% effective. We need the federal government to intervene and pass sensible gun restriction laws so that we don't have these problems. Until then, we're going to be fighting solo in most cases in New York State. But I can tell you this, that based on what I saw, we're going to be fighting. And
thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, now, before you go, I just want to say this, and maybe just put a smile on your face as you leave. I've been in the martial arts 30 some years. So I have no problems without being around people without guns, because then maybe people will get some act right with the knuckles, and they'll go back to getting some act right. I say that in jest, but please, you're always welcome back. Just let Al know when you want to come back. And we're not going to keep Chantel too much longer. I just want to read some comments. I'm going to let her hold these comments down for you until you get back, brother. It's a pleasure meeting you. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Everybody, that's Senator Louis Sepulveda.
Can I add this? If you listen to him and if what he's saying is sensible, he's in the 32nd senatorial district. He's up for re-election. Come on, y'all. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Are you going to be in 32? What number are you going to be in?
Me, 32.
Okay, 32 still. Okay.
32.
Yeah, we still got, you're one of my biggest. You got most of the EDs with me, so we're still tied together.
Toughest gun laws in the nation right there, my man. Don't talk about
God bless
it. Be about it.
God bless. Appreciate you. Everybody, that's Senator Louis Sepulveda. We have Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson with us. Of course, we have Assemblyman Al Taylor, and we have his. Did her title change? Is it Chief of Staff? I don't know. You have to introduce Wendy, whatever her title is now. But I know she's part of the team. With that being said, let me just read a comment from Eddie Vieira, my brother, on YouTube. He said, Dave Chappelle said, every able-bodied black and brown man should legally purchase and register a firearm. These things would change across the U.S. I hate to say this, and please, God, never let this happen, because I want violence to stop. But I bet you, like Louise said earlier, if they started killing a lot of white children in schools and it was a person of color doing it, laws would be changed very quick. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they wouldn't, because when you, like you said, Chantel, if you're talking about, or Louise was saying, you want to Cruz was talking real crazy, talking about one entrance to a school and bulletproof this and that. Come on, our kids ain't in the military. They don't supposed to feel that. You're supposed to go to school to learn and have fun and laugh. That was some of my best times. Let me just read some more questions. Kevin Pastor Graves said, for some people, their guns are an extension of their manhood. Absolutely. Adrian Johnson said, he said guns. He's right, though. He is right. Guns are American as apple pie. He's definitely right about that.
38.
Yeah, Jason said, Braswell, what's up, brother? He said, we need to bring back mandatory sentencing for carrying illegal guns. I want to ask you that, Chantel and Al, if you know anything about that, or can we add more? Because there is no fear out here right now. Nate Crawford said, I don't trust any colonizer with a gun. Black folks need to stop relying on Jesus jumping on the cross and saving them. We need to purchase firearms and learn to hunt and grow our own food. All right now, Colin
period.
Said, period. So anything you want to say, add to that and comment on that?
Man, listen, that's the problem. See, Black folk, we got too far away from our beginnings. We 100% need to learn how to survive without the U.S. government, because the U.S. government has shown time and time again that it is not for us. It is against us. And because we are so dependent on it, we will never be able to survive. So yes, we need to know how to hunt and to fish and to live off the grid. We need to learn how to do all of those things, because if you have not realized, we are under attack, and it's going to be much more buffaloes, much more Black people dying in the street to the hands of white supremacists, of racists and things like that. But you know what? The other part is that, because I'm a licensed social worker, the other part is that gun violence exists in places where there are poverty. You know why people ain't dying over in Beverly Hills? Because they have gainful employment. They have a criminal justice system that believes in them. They have resources there. And people over there are not worried about, what's happening on the street corner, because they're too busy worried about their taxes that they got to take care of, their home that they got to take care of, their children going to great schools and after school programs and all kind of soccer and things like that. We need exactly those things right here in the hood. And then we can start alleviating the gun violence. The other thing people are scared to talk about is that if my brother got killed by someone that's across the street, you think I'm going to walk around here without being strapped? I'm going to be a sitting duck. And if you can't make me safe, then what am I supposed to do? I'm just supposed to just come out my building, know my brother was killed, and not be strapped up? Yeah. Come on.
Absolutely.
Come on. Let's have some real conversation.
I like this. Listen, she's part of Real Talk again, Al. We're definitely going to bring Chantel Jackson back whenever she's available. And I'm only going to keep you for 5 more minutes because I know you have a young one, and I appreciate you being with us. I really do. I just want to read some comments. My cousin Lamont Shields is in. He's a Baltimore PD, so please be careful. He says stricter laws don't matter when you can 3D print guns. The laws will take away guns from the good and leave them in the hands of the bad. Adrian Johnson, he said, and Adrian and I used to work together in the Bronx Narcotics. He said the NRA hasn't backed people of color using stand your ground. Get the strap, Chantel Jackson. He's with you on that. My cousin Kendra, she said the hearts of people are getting very bloodthirsty, period. Lynette, she says, I grow herbs. I got started somewhere, huh? I got to start somewhere. Exactly. Rochelle said, that's right. Learn that the king grow plants and learn to get your resources. Stefania said, I like Chantel. What's her IG? What's your IG? She wants to follow you. So you can follow us if you get Real Talk Chronicles, sis.
IG is Chantel Jackson 79, because I represent the 79th district in the South Bronx. So Chantel Jackson 79. I'm also a little crazy on Twitter. Chantel 2020.
Okay.
I follow you. Yes, absolutely.
I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna follow you on IG, definitely. Kevin Gray said we need to start preparing the public with active shooter training. Some of us don't know what to do if we confronted with an active shooter. You know what's so funny? Me being prior law enforcement, I get it, but I didn't think that's so. It shouldn't even be getting to this now where we're learning, like that's a curriculum in the school. But I get it, because that's where we are set. This is where the hand that's where we're led to right now, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. What's up, Pep? Chantel, I'm gonna let you rock out and say whatever you want to say. The next 3.5 minutes, you say whatever you want to say, whenever you want to come back, because we always leave with positive affirmation, but leave us with some whatever. I want you to, I really do. As if you see me from the hood, then you can just spit it.
No, that's a fact. And you know what? I wake up and I thank God every day for giving me another chance to get it right and to do more work and serve his people. And so, it's a blessing to be here with you brothers and my sister Wendy, to have real conversation. Just being able to talk and be different minded. Like you heard my brother Sepulveda saying, he don't want any guns. And I'm like, nah, I don't trust the federal government having guns and me not having a gun. Amen. And so You know, and in the Bible, they talk about time for peace and time for war. And you got to be ready. You have to be ready, because if you're not ready, then you're going to be, you know, you're going to be the victim. No, you're going to be the victim of everything else. And so I just do this work because I want to see my children live. My son is about to be 1 year old, and they love him now. The white people love him now. And, you know, every time I think about when he turns 13, 14, and 16, when he gets taller, are they still going to love him? Are they going to still look at him as little TJ that was running around the chambers? And I don't know that. I don't know that. And it's a fear that exists in me. And I walk with God, and I have my faith. But that fear exists because I've seen how people look at our Black boys, and I know what they are doing to our Black boys in our school system, and, you know, and how they look at us on our street corners, how they look at us just going to and from our regular daily activities. And so I live with that fear, and I ask that you guys continue to pray for us, because we're going to keep doing this work. And I just want to see my children live and be successful.
I appreciate you, Al. I'm gonna let you close her out, but Al, stay with me for another 10 minutes so we can close out ourselves. But Chantel Jackson, you are always welcome, just like Luis is always welcome. Please, anytime you want to come back, just tell Al I want to come on. You don't need no special invitation. Whatever we talking about, we're just gonna fit you in and make sure you rock out, sister. I'm on IG, Bill Forster Jr. 06. I will follow you, and my wife will definitely follow you. If anything I can do, Al knows this. If you need me to come out and speak with you or do something, Al knows that's how I get down. I'm trying to make the world a better place, and we can do it together. You know.
Thank you, my brother.
I appreciate you, Al. You want to say goodbye to your sister before we let her go?
Thank you.
You froze, Al. Mic check 1 2. You know what I'm saying?
Turn off the video. Yeah, turn off the video.
Okay, 1 2. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, yes. Go for it, brother.
All right, there it is. I am always in awe of you. I admire and I stand with you 1,000%. Yes. You are a woman on the move. And when I watch you move through the chambers and conduct yourselves, there's not one Black, brown, Hispanic woman in our nation that cannot achieve if given the resources and the support. You make so many of us, you do what others should emulate. So continue doing what you're doing. I will say this in this space, we all have different voices, different tenure, different responsibilities. I come in as the clergy. I come in as the guy that at 16 had his own gun, at 18 gave it away, and 19 the military gave me 2. So I understand the concept of either being judged by 12 or carried by 6. You have to make a decision in your communities. But once you make a move, then I have to stand with that. And I think we should have gatekeepers. We should have those brothers and sisters that are armed to make sure that the village is safe. Everybody doesn't necessarily have to have one, but there's a space for that. And I just applaud you. And I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. You have just solidified your own space here. Anytime you want, it's there. It's real talk. Nobody's going to cue you and tell you these are the boundaries. You don't color inside. Everything here is outside of the line. If you don't know it, the questions that come up out of there, they're really good. But what we must agree always to do, to disagree without becoming disagreeable, and come back and say, okay, how do we move? How do we move the narrative? I am so proud. I love you. Go ahead, girl.
I love you. I'll see you in Bible study tomorrow morning.
Yes, on 8 o'clock in Papa Son. I mean,
see you later.
Say a prayer for me, you too. Exactly. All right. Al, so let me, I love the fact that she was kicking it like that. And, I understand exactly what you were saying about being a person from a certain age with a firearm and then doing something. And then, like you said, going into the military and getting 2. Because, see, the people don't understand. We are homegrown Harlem Nights. I'm not just a pretty face on a podcast. I was in the streets too. You know what I'm saying? I just had to break that, give that icebreaker. But the thing is, we understand it from both sides. We understand it from the neighborhood, the legality side, the professional side. And what we're just trying to do, everybody, please, let's see if we can get back to that village, where we care about each other. Even because the ones here care. That's why they're watching and they're trying to share this love. We care. We just got to get back, maybe PALs or something after school programs, but you know, these young kids are fighting over like blocks and being disrespected and making rap videos on somebody else's block, and then they're getting shot up, and then it's the innocent bystanders on top of people going and killing us in Buffalo, killing like that was just crazy to me, and then killing kids, you know, all the innocent people, the elderly, the young, you know, and then there's people that have this history of being problematic. How do you shoot your mother before you go shoot up a bunch of people? Like it's crazy. What's your thoughts, brother? You know,
I think without question, these are terrible, horrific times. Certainly, to your point earlier, there is a mental illness that is amongst us. It's real. Hospitals are not concerned with doing inpatient with them. They don't get as much money on return for having beds set aside for people that have mental illness. We need to come back and look at that again. That's something that needs to happen on the federal government, on the federal level, with respect to reimbursement of services. So we're missing easy 1,000 beds in New York State when it comes to mental health. Shut that down. The backside of that is, I thank you honestly, Bill, in all of those that come out or tune in every day. There's a podcast, whatever's going on, because you all will make that difference. You'll either decide to say something that's informative or correct information that was being passed out. But more importantly, be the PAL that doesn't exist in your community. Be the OG that doesn't allow people to get heated and go home and pull one, and you wait to watch what happens because it looks like a movie. I think also that, again, Black Lives Matter movement is relevant. I think they could be more relevant. And I invite them not to a dissertation, but an opportunity to communicate and let us talk about how we want to take back our neighborhoods. Where the
I like the fact, let me just interject for a second. I like the fact that you said, yo, you ain't hating on them. You're just a little annoyed at them right now. You just want them to come and be a part and help walk these streets with you. So I get that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because what we need to do is stop getting our women out here walking these streets. We need our men out here to walk these streets too.
And Bill, and that's why I started the Man Up in Harlem prayer walk in 2008 after 4 homicides happened in a 30-day period. You know, aside from your heart wrenching, you're hurting and just frustrated because there's not anything happening fast enough. So for me, I thought, and 4 years later, in our 4th year, some women said, well, how come there are no women? I said, just so you're clear, women are welcome to walk. However, women are always on the front line. Our guys come home, our guys are working. Men are an absent part of our community overall. I'm not saying men are bad. I'm just saying we are absentee in our communities when it comes to standing up. That woman's the one that's arguing with the grocer. She's the one that's doing the laundry. She's the one that's doing time while you're doing time. So what does it look like when we step in that space and say, let us just do this little bit? And Bill, in 2.5 years, your police commissioner, Ray Kelly, called to say, I want to talk to you about that prayer walk. I said, yeah, you know, I didn't even know who it was, to be honest, when he was talking to me on the phone. I said, yeah, this is Al. Well, what about, you know, the prayer walk is going well. I'm like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And this is Ray who? He said, Police Commissioner Ray Kelly. I said, oh, wow. Now, he called my office. I was working for the Assemblyman. And he said, I want to tell you that the crime statistics have gone down. So people that are listening, I didn't get a grant. I didn't ask for anything. I've never accepted anything. These are men from the community. People come from all over the state of New York just to walk on that prayer walk, to experience brothers walking at 6 o'clock in the morning through the communities, and peace transformed. Crime dropped. It was 4 years before there was another homicide. It shouldn't have been one, but that's what happens when community takes care of community. And then about 3 years into that, that's when Reverend Sharpton started doing Take Back the Corners. We were always there. We're still there. And if we do this, and I've been talking to some of my brothers and sisters in the legislative body, we want to go into different communities where there's public housing and do the same thing. If you got 5 guys or 5 women in your neighborhood that want to do this, let's do that model. Let's do that model. Let's do that model. And it doesn't cost you anything but your time and your effort. And again, somebody else may bring skill sets, some other resources to that. But at a bare minimum, what are we willing to sacrifice to see change in our communities?
Absolutely. Everybody, that's Assemblyman Al Taylor. I am Bill Forster. I'm his co-host. We rocking tonight. This is Real Talk Chronicles. It's sponsored by the Art Gallery. It's sponsored by Ingram Taxes. It's sponsored by the Daily Arts Magazine. It is sponsored by a multitude of people that's giving love and sharing love. Wendy, I know you've been a little absent, but I know Al is coming up for a re-election, right? So if Al doesn't want to comment on it, Wendy, you want to give us some insight on what's going on with Al behind us in his re-election? Is she there, Al? Okay, let me just read. Rochelle said, prayer walkers, 6 a.m. warriors need to walk the streets, bring back the village and the community. I would definitely do that in Florida. That's what's up. Al, Wendy, are you there before we get out of here? Check 1, 2.
I'm here.
Okay, check Al, so just give us some insight on your campaign. I know you're coming up for re-election. There you go. Soft Illusions Art Gallery, baby. That's it. Oh, I will be informing you all. Malika and her mother are up for Best Art Gallery of the Year for 2022 in Philadelphia. I will send you the link, and hopefully you all will just vote. You can vote from anywhere in the country. So that's a big honor for her and her mother to be up for Best Art Gallery in the Philadelphia area. So that's big.
Congratulations to her and her mother. Certainly for work well deserved. So thank you and congratulations to them. Wendy is on. She cannot unmute right now, but
okay.
if you could put her contact information in the chat for your folks.
Okay.
We need volunteers to help with the subway and literature and phone calls. It's a full throttle. I am up. June 28th is the election. And I need all the support that I can get. When you don't have resources, financial resources, it's great to have boots on the ground, knocking on doors, subways, and talking it up and making calls.
Absolutely. What's Wendy information, or Wendy can come in and go to her Facebook Live and put it in when she gets in, or she want me to put it in right now? I'll write it right now.
Oh yeah, if you have it, you can drop it in. If not, I'm not, because she's hearing you, but she can't unmute for some reason.
Okay, so Wendy, what I need you to do is to go into the Facebook Live and put it in at the bottom. That is Al's chief of staff. She's going to be running, I guess, your ground campaign. She wearing multiple hats. That is Assemblyman Al Taylor. Al, before we get out of here, it's great to be back with you. Give us some positive affirmation, whatever you want to say, and close us out. And we out of here, brother.
Oh, awesome. Tell Malika we say good night. Check your text. Wendy may have texted you in between. I am encouraged. I think, and I know my life experiences are the sum total of who I am today. And I'm reminded, even in difficult times, that God is a present. And one of the things that always, it pushes at my heart is what was said in Jeremiah 29. It says, seek the peace of the city, because if the city prospers, so shall you. So our success and our children is predicated in how we find peace in our city. And it's the prophet that's speaking, because all the Israelites were being taken into captivity. They were going into bondage. But God promised them, even in the midst of all of that atrocity, I'm going to prepare a way for you to get out of here. And I don't know the end game and the answer to how this all falls out. But I think in the now, what can each one of us do to transform the lives of those that are around us? And that's what we should do. Not what I'm doing, not what I say do, but what is it that your heart is leading you to do? And you and my sister, I'm just blanking out a name. Y'all talked.
Yeah.
And y'all came up, Malika, and y'all came up with something, and it's working.
Yeah.
People are being form, that's your voice, that's your something to help transform the lives of the people around you and even in other states. And whatever that is, go do it and be the best that you can be. So God loves you, and may his peace abound, and everybody, hey, be happy. We have a right to be.
Exactly. And I want to say this, and I want the world to know this, that when we joined forces to do Real Talk and I asked you to be a part of it, and you was like, yes, it is everything that I expected it to be. Informative, you bringing guests, and you just being Al Taylor, my brother. So we have history, we have a connection that you will always be, we will always be a part of each other's lives. And for those that don't know, that's okay. I'll tell them. But with that being said, so you bring the smoke with your guests, and you bring the smoke without your guests. So I appreciate you. Please stay with us, because one day maybe we'll have our own show, brother. You know what I'm saying? Besides, or even if we stay on the podcast or we go national, it is what it is. We're gonna keep rocking until the wheels fall off, my man.
All day and twice on Sunday. God bless you all, man.
Everybody,
love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you giving the brother some spotlight up in here.
Oh, anytime, brother. That's exactly. So, everybody, that's Assemblyman Al Taylor. I am Bill Forster. We're getting out of here. Yes, Rochelle, I will send a link, definitely. I will be back Wednesday, and we will definitely talk about these mass shootings more on the law enforcement stuff and other things of that magnitude. This is Bill Forster, that is Assemblyman Al Taylor, on behalf of the Daily Arts of Survival Magazine, Reggie Wells, Quality Speakers, Melba Wilson, Leon Ellis, Harlem Underground and Chocolat, Malika, Soft Illusion, her and Diane. Exactly. They are up for I will send that link. They are up for Art Gallery of the Year. Listen, support, show the love. If anything you can vote with, I will put that link in, and definitely. Everybody, good night. Wishing you all the best. Stay safe. Don't forget COVID too. Still be careful. Get your boosters, Matt, whatever you have to do. And also too, I still do that brunch party. That promotion game is still tight. On the 16th, on the 18th of June, coming up with before pre-Father's Day, 18th of June, we at the Row House from 1 to 8. Make your reservations. Row House on 115. Good night, everybody. Appreciate you.